It's midnight. You're on Zillow again, scrolling through houses you can't afford, waiting for the crash. You've been waiting since 2021, then 2022, then 2023. Any day now, the market will collapse like 2008. Prices will drop 30%. You just need to be patient. Wrong. Dead wrong. While you're waiting for a crash that's never coming, you're hemorrhaging $250,000 through what I call the poverty premium, the invisible wealth extraction machine that runs 24/7 when you rent waiting for prices to fall. I'm Sam, and I've spent years tracking the opportunity cost of waiting for crashes that never materialize. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the crash you're waiting for will either never happen or will cost you far more than buying today. Let's perform a forensic autopsy on why you're wrong about the crash. You think we're in a 2008-style bubble. That inventory will flood the market. That desperate sellers will slash prices. In 2008, anyone could get a mortgage. No verification. Adjustable rates that exploded. Millions were underwater and had to sell. Inventory flooded. Prices collapsed 40%. 2026? The opposite. 60% of current homeowners have interest rates under 4%. This is what economists call the lock-in effect. They're prisoners of their own good fortune. Their $2,000 mortgage at 3% becomes $3,500 at 7%. They aren't just staying because they want to. They're staying because the bank has essentially subsidized their lifestyle at 3%. Moving is a pay cut they can't afford. They physically cannot afford to relocate, so they don't sell. This creates the inventory trap. No flood of desperate sellers, just shortage. And shortages don't create crashes. They create price stability or increases. Stop. Look at the forensics. Single-family home rents are projected to rise 2.3% in 2026. You're not dodging a bullet. You're paying someone else's non-crashing mortgage while they extract equity from your paycheck. Now let me show you the math that destroys the wait for lower prices theory. Scenario A. You buy today at $400,000 with 6% interest. Down payment, $40,000. Mortgage, $360,000. Monthly payment, $2,158. Total interest over 30 years, $417,000. Scenario B, you wait 2 years for a 20% crash. Price drops to $320,000, but rates rise to 7.5%. Down payment, $32,000. Mortgage, $288,000. Monthly payment, $2,013. Total interest over 30 years, $437,000. Read that again. You waited for an $80,000 price drop, but you're paying $20,000 more in interest because rates went up. If rates hit 8%, you're paying $50,000 more despite the lower price. Plus, during those 2 years, you paid $60,000 in rent that evaporated. Your savings got wiped out by rent payments plus higher interest. The price is theater. The interest rate is the extraction machine. Now let me perform what I call an amortization autopsy on where your money actually goes. Month 1 of that $2,158 mortgage payment. You send the bank $2,158. How much house did you buy? $378. The other $1,780? That's interest vapor, unrecoverable cash that evaporates into the bank's profit margin. 82% of your payment is extraction, not ownership. For the first 10 years, 70% to 80% of every payment is interest vapor. You're not building equity. You're renting money from your primary landlord, the bank. Here's where it gets expensive. Even if the price drops to $320,000 like you're hoping, you'll still pay over $437,000 in interest vapor at higher rates. You waited for a price crash and ended up paying more to the extraction machine anyway. Now the 7% rule, your forensic tool for every rent versus buy decision. Take any home price, multiply by 0.07, divide by 12. That's your unrecoverable cost floor. $400,000 house, $400,000 times 0.07 divided by 12 equals $2,333 per month. This includes interest vapor, property taxes, perpetual rent to the government, maintenance, 1 to 2% annually, hemorrhage with zero equity, Opportunity cost of dead equity not earning 10% in the S&P 500. If you can rent for less than $2,333, you're buying freedom at a discount while the homeowner pays a premium for the illusion of ownership. I've built a calculator for this. Run your zip codes numbers and you'll see the hidden friction costs most people never calculate. Even if prices plateau for years, homeowners hemorrhage money through unrecoverable costs. The market doesn't need to crash for homeownership to be expensive. It's a wealth extraction system by design. Stop. Look at what's happening to your down payment. You're sitting on $40,000 in savings earning 4%, $1,600 per year. You feel smart, but look at the opportunity cost hemorrhage. If you invested that $40,000 in the S&P 500 at 10% average returns, 2 years, $48,400 plus $8,400. 5 years, $64,420 plus $24,420. 10 years, $103,750 plus $63,750. 20 years, $269,500 plus $229,500. By keeping capital liquid and invested, you're compounding wealth while crash waiters are trapped in dead equity. Money locked in walls that can't compound and can't be accessed without paying what I call the exit tax. The exit tax is exactly why the crash won't happen. Homeowners who sell face 6% realtor fees plus 4% closing costs. The 10% exit tax. On a $400,000 house, that's $40,000 just to leave. You lose 10% of your home's value the second you sign a listing agreement. If your house hasn't gone up 10%, you are paying the bank and the realtor for the privilege of moving. They need 10% appreciation just to break even. This creates massive friction that prevents panic selling. Combined with the lock-in effect, you have a frozen market. Nobody can afford to sell. Inventory stays low. Prices stay high. This isn't a bubble. It's a new equilibrium based on structural factors that aren't going away. But here's the hidden variable that destroys your crash theory even if prices drop. The credit tax. 2 people buy the same $400,000 house. Buyer A, 760 credit, 6% rate, $417,000 total interest. Buyer B, 620 credit, 7.5% rate, $546,000 total interest. Buyer B pays $129,000 more for identical drywall because of a credit score difference. Here's the trap. If you're waiting years for a crash, life happens. A missed payment, medical collections, identity theft. Your score drops 180 points. When the crash comes, you're hit with 7.5% instead of 6%. That crashed price became irrelevant. You're paying an extra $129,000 in interest vapor. The real enemy isn't high prices. It's the algorithmic extraction of wealth through interest rates and fees. Here's the data proving the crash isn't coming. According to Realtor.com, for housing to become affordable again, median household income would need to rise 56% to $132,000, or prices would drop 35%. Neither is happening. What's more likely? A slow grind where prices plateau, not a crash, a freeze. So here are your 2 paths forward. Path 1, the standard wealth path. If you want a home for lifestyle reasons and the price-to-rent ratio in your market is under 20, buy when rates are favorable and you have strong credit. This is the traditional path, but understand what you're choosing. This is a consumption choice, not a wealth choice. You're buying shelter and stability. You'll build some equity over 30 years while paying massive interest vapor to the bank. That's fine if you value the lifestyle, but don't confuse consumption with wealth building. Path 2, the elite wealth path. Build toward the crossover point, when your investment income exceeds your living expenses. Instead of waiting to buy, invest aggressively. Build a liquid empire of assets that pay you instead of consuming you. Invest $1,500 per month at 10% returns. 10 years, $310,000. 20 years, $1,030,000. 30 years, $3,390,000. At $3.4 million, with the 4% safe withdrawal rate, you generate $136,000 per year in passive income. You've hit the crossover point. Your investments pay you more than your expenses. This is being a liquid millionaire, owning income-producing assets that pay you monthly, not consumption items that extract wealth monthly. The homeowner, trapped in dead equity, paying interest vapor, stuck in one zip code, hoping for 4% appreciation. You, free, mobile, wealthy, building assets that compound at 10%. Read that again. If the crash comes and prices drop 20%, great. Buy if the math works. But don't put life on hold. If it doesn't come, you've built $500,000 plus in liquid assets while crash waiters are still refreshing Zillow in 2029. Waiting for a crash costs you $250,000 because you lose years of equity if you're wrong. You lose investment gains on your down payment. You lose career mobility. You pay rising rents that never return. You risk credit damage that makes buying expensive. Build wealth regardless of what housing does. Create optionality. Hit your crossover point. Then decide if you want a house, not because you need shelter, but because you can afford it without sacrificing freedom. Here's your homework. Calculate your local price-to-rent ratio. Calculate what investing your down payment becomes at 10% returns over 10, 20, 30 years. Calculate the true opportunity cost of waiting versus buying today. Then answer this. Are you willing to pay the 10% exit tax for the dream of home ownership? Tell me why in the comments. Drop your price-to-rent ratio below. Tell me if you're waiting for a crash or building your liquid empire. Let's see who's winning in 5 years. The crash you're waiting for will either never come or will cost you more than buying today. Don't let fear of timing the market cost you $250,000 in opportunity cost. Build your liquid empire. Stay mobile. Create options. Then buy when it makes sense, not when Zillow says the market crashed. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to this channel. See you on the next one.